What is going on, guys? Slick back here with some more alpha. Today we are going to be talking about the current state of Bitcoin going into the halving, which is as of right now 8 days away. If you don't know anything about that, you need to keep watching this video because I'm going to get into some data that I gathered. We're just going to get a good outlook on Bitcoin currently, as well as my predicted all-time high of this next cycle, which I'll explain. So yeah, pretty exciting video. I stayed up all night last night getting all this alpha to wrap it up and put a bow on it and give it to you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the Bitcoin halving is literally 8 days away. So let's take a look at Bitcoin on the 1 day. All right, so as you can see, we have just broken this downtrend here. We had a pike forming here, and it seems like we did push through this level. We actually bounced back down to what looks like, I don't know, this looks pretty bullish to me. Personally, I think this was us retesting this level right here. So this is actually a tweet I wrote up. Two scenarios that I thought were going to play out possibly. Scenario one, we have some more consolidation for a few more days to a week, breakout above the bull flag pattern with momentum to reach new highs, affirming a bullish trend and a continuation. Which, if we compare this, as you can see, it actually looks like we have broken out above that resistance line there. So hopefully this gives us the momentum we need to get through this halving and proceed to Valhalla. Here's my second scenario. I thought, well, you know, if it bounces up here and we reject hard off of it, I could see us maybe picking up some resistance at 52,000, 53,000. So hopefully we really don't see any breakouts towards the bottom, as I still feel like this scenario could play out. Really going to be looking for us to break all-time highs here for me to have a solid conviction that this is a continuation. But until that happens, we're still pretty much still consolidating. So consolidation always sets up for a big move, so hopefully it's upward. Moving on. This is the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. This shows where a lot of leverage is set to be liquidated, and more times than not, market makers seem to shift price towards where more contracts are going to be liquidated. And as you can see, we have a lot of liquidation around the 72,000 mark. There's not a whole lot of liquidation as far as super below our price now, which is actually a good sign. So as you can see, there's about $50 million to be liquidated around the 71,000 mark. Now, obviously, we want to break through this and get to all-time highs, but this is actually a good indicator that somebody's going to try to push the market up towards the 72, at least for a short period, to obtain those liquidations. Now let's talk about the actual halving itself. What is it? The halving event occurs about every 4 years or 210,000 blocks, which is lining up to be right around the 420 mark. And what happens is the actual supply or creation of Bitcoin is literally cut in half. So basically the growth percentage of Bitcoin, which is currently at 1.7% in 8 days, is going to get reduced to 0.85%. Essentially, think of it like this. Think of corn. Everybody uses corn. Corn's on a lot of things. There's a whole market around corn. Now, these corn prices are dictated by the supply and demand of how much corn there is. And you were to set a date, and when that date came along, the demand and market activity was all going to stay the same, but you were going to only produce half as much corn as you previously have been doing for the past 4 years. Literally, you are going to cut the production in half. What do you think is going to happen to the price of corn? It's not rocket science. It's simple supply and demand. This is literally about to happen with Bitcoin. I cannot stress this enough. We're going to see exponential growth. If you're still watching this video, stay here. You are literally going to learn probably the most valuable information you're going to hear in the next year to 3 years. You will be able to massively benefit if you take action on all of this stuff I'm about to tell you. It's completely in your hands. You do what you want. Obviously, you know what I'm doing. Let's get into it. So there has previously been 3 other halvings. The first one was in November of 2012. The second one was July of 2016. And the third one was May of 2020. Here's a 3-day view of the 2012 halving. And as you can see, leading up to the halving, they experienced a dip of 26%, which is referred to as the pre-halving dip. Now, after they dipped, they found a bottom. The halving event occurred. Bitcoin rewards were cut in half. As you can see, it consolidated a little bit and then bam, price absolutely rips. This is because it actually takes a little while for the supply shock to hit the demand, as the first people to feel the supply shock are the Bitcoin miners. They then have to sell this Bitcoin. They take their expenses out like power. It just takes a few days for the supply shock to go through the flywheel in its entire process. And immediately when that's noticed, price reflects it and we go to Valhalla. Now, as you can see, after the halving, it actually took 54 days until they reached the previous all-time high. Keep that in mind. Now here's the 2016 halving. As you can see, before the halving, we saw a 29% dip, just like the last halving. And then again, some consolidation for a few days. Now this consolidation actually lasted a lot longer than the first halving, and it ended up actually taking 228 days for price to reach the previous all-time high post-halving. This was our most recent halving in 2020. As you can see, before the halving, we saw a 61% dip, returned back to our price point. We consolidated for 204 days until reaching our all-time highs again and absolutely ripping to the moon. This isn't rocket science, simple supply and demand. Now, let's take a look at where we currently are in this process for this year's halving. Now, as you can see, I have an estimated time frame of when we are supposed to reach all-time highs post-halving, but as you may have probably noticed, we are already at our all-time highs. Now, this is something that has never happened before. We have never been at our previous all-time highs before the halving. This is due to a numerous amount of factors such as adoption, the ETF, inflows, which we're going to get into in a second. Basically, it looks like we've already seen our pre-halving dip, which was 17%. We've been consolidating right around our all-time high mark. So very unique cycle, very unique halving event. So the next thing we're going to calculate out is how much growth we saw from the halving event to the next all-time high. And what I got was in 2012, Bitcoin saw a 9,500% increase. In 2016, Bitcoin saw a 2,900% increase. And in 2020, Bitcoin saw a 671% increase. Now, as you can tell, the percentages are getting smaller. This is something called diminishing returns and is usually applicable, but this cycle, like I said, is very unique as number one, we're already at all-time highs before the halving. Number two, we actually have a Bitcoin ETF. Number three, the stage is totally set for Bitcoin. It's an election year, so many catalysts. All right, so what I wanted to do was try to find a way to predict what sort of gains we would see after this halving event according to historical data. So what I did was I calculated all of the growth rates for each of the halving cycles. I then averaged all of these growth rates, as this average could be considered a baseline to use for predicting the future growth after this halving. Next thing I did was I slightly adjusted the growth rate and actually adjusted it to be 30% of the most recent growth cycle to add a somewhat conservative outlook, as well as account for some of the diminishing returns. And the adjusted growth rate that I actually got was 201%, meaning that at a current price point of $68,000, within the next 162 days, I believe that Bitcoin will reach a price point of at least $205,000. Yes, you heard it here first. That's my prediction. $200,000 Bitcoin within 162 days after the halving. So what's actually even going to get us there? I think the ETF inflows are one of the biggest catalysts for Bitcoin within this entire cycle other than the halving. So let's take a look at this. As you can see here, the cumulative spot Bitcoin ETF volumes are absolutely soaring daily. It looks like just yesterday we saw $200 billion in volume just for the Bitcoin ETFs. That's absolutely insane. And as you can see here, this is the actual ETF volume for all of the different institutions. Yep, so as you can see here, everything looks good for the ETF. The Bitcoin ETF was actually the most successful ETF launch in history. Cointelegraph says that the Bitcoin ETF inflows could reach $14 billion just in the first year alone, with about 2.4 expected in the first quarter. This influx of capital represents a substantial growth in the Bitcoin market participant list, which is great. Pretty much all of the ETF purchases by institutions are all long-term holds, which what else could you ask for? You got Michael Saylor out here buying 2,000 Bitcoin a day, whether it goes up or down, he doesn't care. I mean, the supply of Bitcoin that's going to be able to be purchased is literally disintegrating so fast. I'm super bullish about this cycle. I think that Bitcoin is going to go to heights that no one expects. I think that this cycle could melt my face. It could blow past 200,000. That's just what I calculated out for. Moving on. With the halving right around the corner, one thing that everybody does every cycle is people who took positions in Bitcoin early end up rolling their profits into altcoins post-halving when prices are up. And what this is a liquidity rotation. And these early Bitcoin buyers roll their profits directly into other altcoins whose market caps are significantly lower than Bitcoin's, causing these tokens to absolutely rip in price. I'm talking 5x, 10x, 100x's, 300x's are common in the bull run. During the peak of this cycle, we are going to see altcoins with multi-billion-dollar market caps that currently only have maybe a few hundred million market cap or even just a few $1 million market cap. I mean, crazy things happen in the bull run post-cycle, and it's all about to happen right now. So how do you prepare? Well, you could buy spot Bitcoin, and from what it looks like right now, you're going to make a little over double your money from whatever you put into Bitcoin, which is decent if you have a lot of liquidity to actually put in, but say you only have a few $1,000s, that's not even really going to be worth it. I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably want to change your life off crypto. At least I would hope so, because it is totally possible. So the way you do this correctly is you front run the liquidity before it rotates into the altcoin sectors. I can tell you that according to the history, liquidity is going to flow into altcoins at amounts much higher than last time. So if you want to front run this liquidity move, you need to know which sectors are actually going to make it. So this is a chart, and as you can see, right when the halving occurs, just like we talked about earlier, consolidation, and then boom, the altcoin market cap absolutely rips. I mean, really, we're like right here currently in the market for this year's halving. So what I'm saying is historically, according to the data, we should see some consolidation for about 15 to 30 days. Could be a little less, could be a little more. And then I expect the altcoin sector to absolutely rip. As you can see, it ripped 40% in 2020 and then proceeded to beat out Bitcoin throughout the entire rest of what this chart covers. And then after this, both proceeded to go to Valhalla. Super excited for the altcoin sector to take off. But you need to know what are the right tokens to put your money into. And this requires understanding the narratives. And I'm going to tell you my top narrative picks that you should definitely be looking at if you are wanting to front run the liquidity shifts and maximize your gains with me. This is what a lot of crypto natives do. Let's get into this. Now, the first narrative I want to talk about is DePIN. This stands for decentralized physical infrastructure. So this represents a shift in how we manage our physical world. This envisions a future where networks seamlessly can interact with each other, manage each other, mainly with decentralized infrastructures like GPU power, cloud computing surfaces, energy, transportation, communication. There's so many applications and needs for decentralized infrastructure. Now, the first project is Aether Cloud. I actually did a whole deep dive into this project as I'm super bullish, partnered with NVIDIA. They have all the tools they need. Very well funded. They brought in more than $90 million on their node sale. Now, the next project is Render Network. They've been around for a lot longer. They, again, are focused on distributing GPU power. And I actually got into this with the Aether video, but there's actually such a growing demand for GPU power through machine learning and AI, as well as just everyday sectors like vehicles, mobile devices. I explain all of that in the video. So again, check that out if you want to explore DePIN. Next is Gaimin. Now, this is a DePIN project that is actually taking more of a gaming side, focused on leveraging gaming PCs and their unused GPU power and actually renting that out for companies to use to render images, videos, etc. So in my Aether video, I actually dug into GPUs, what they do, what their competitors are, what CPUs are, all that jazz. I talk about the need for this, the demand that's growing, super bullish on Gaimin. Now, the next narrative is going to be very big. I think it has a lot of growth potential as well. This would be the AI sector. I feel like this kind of speaks for itself. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, Near Protocol. This is also a well-established protocol. They've been around for a while. Near Protocol, one of their founders spoke at the NVIDIA conference that just occurred, which is the biggest AI conference in the world. So They definitely have good ties. Next is BitTensor. Another one that I really like is Fetch AI. Again, all of these links will be in the description so you can check them out. Read for yourself, do your own research, get educated, don't invest blindly. Moving on to the next narrative. BRC20s. Now, BRC20 actually refers to the ecosystem that operates on the BRC20 blockchain. These applications use the robust infrastructure and security that Bitcoin operates on, and obviously Bitcoin's about to receive a massive price jump, so it only seems logical that some liquidity is going to flow into the Bitcoin ecosystem. So my first BRC20 project is Multibit. I've actually been a holder of Multibit for a long time. Bought it right around when they launched. Essentially, this is a cross-chain bridge. You can swap, you can move assets from the Bitcoin blockchain to other blockchains. I like this project. The next one I want to talk about is Orange. Now, this is actually a Bitcoin wallet that actually also includes a bridge feature and a swap feature. I've been an Orange holder for quite a while as well. I just like the concept. I thought they had really good branding. So yeah, definitely check them out. Now the next narrative is going to be layer 2s. Now layer 2s are blockchain solutions that are built on top of layer 1s to increase scalability, lower fees, faster transactions. These are built on top of Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin. Layer 2s actually address one of the major problems of L1s, which is scalability and keeping transaction fees low. As more and more people get into the cryptocurrency ecosystem, things like gas fees and just efficiency, layer 2s are essential in the growth of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Now the first one is Base. Base is actually incubated by Coinbase. I'm actually stupid bullish on Base. I did a whole deep dive on the Base ecosystem, a lot of my top picks, explained what it is, my thesis behind their growth. I believe Base will be dare I say it, maybe not this cycle, but in the next cycle. I think Base has the potential to be the top blockchain, sheerly by their onboarding ability through Coinbase. I get into all that, videos down below, check that out. Polygon, this is a classic. Again, they just help with scaling on Ethereum, not much more to them. Next is Arbitrum. Really, all of these layer 2s just seek to make it easier for apps to build on top of Ethereum while keeping costs low. So Base, Polygon, Arbitrum, look at all of those. Moving on to the next narrative, which is actually gaming. Now, gaming is pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody can agree that gaming is going to be around. I think that we can all agree that gaming has a home with blockchain, with personal ownership of your assets, of your digital collectibles, etc. It's not about if, it's about when. And I think we are set to see substantial growth in the Web3 gaming sector this cycle. A lot of people share the same thesis as gaming is a huge sector. Here's my top picks. So the first one is Portal Gaming. This is a gaming platform that Web3 games can launch on. It's super easy to log into your account. Takes a lot of the Web3 part out of it, which is huge for adoption. They literally just hosted the biggest esports tournament in the world, I think like this past month. I'm a Portal staker, lots of rewards coming for people who buy and stake Portal, which I can make a video about in the future if you don't know what staking is, but super bullish on Portal, great platform, great developers. Beam, I'm not as bullish on Beam, but they've performed really well. Definitely take a look at them. And the last one is Bloodloop. This is a game that's actually launching soon. I believe they just had their pre-sale for their tokens, so there is a launch coming up. I saw a clip of Dr. Disrespect playing this game. Says it's the best looking game he's ever played. I do know that this is one of the top contenders as a video game title, being a AAA shooter. I think it has a lot of potential. Definitely want to take a look at. Moving on. Now, the last narrative we are going to talk about is going to be the meme coins. Yes, everybody loves meme coins. I know you're a degen. I know you watched this whole video and that you didn't skip just to this part, because you actually wanted to get educated and make money. You didn't just want to make stupid gains, not even have to think. Anyway, so again, this is a pretty self-explanatory narrative. Meme coins, there's nothing behind them. They're stupid, they're funny. They get market caps that are higher than that of Spirit Airlines, which was actually the first meme coin I'm going to talk about. Again, these are lottery tokens. They either go to Valhalla or zero. So the first meme coin is Dog With Hat. I actually saw Dog with Hat when it launched. I faded it for a long time. And just as of a few months ago, I got some skin in the game. They actually just raised $750,000 to get Dog with Hat put on the Superdome in Las Vegas. So that's hilarious. Moving on. The next one is Roost. This is a base chain meme coin. Super degenerate. It only has a $50 million market cap. Super risky. Could go to 0. Could go to 1,000. Moving on. Next is Based Brett. This one is actually exploding. I think it's the number 2 meme coin on Base Chain. I think he's supposed to be like related to Pepe. Super good art. You can buy it everywhere. I think it kind of looks weird. I actually personally think that this could blow up. Though it's a little late for me. I'm pretty degen, so I want to get into things a lot earlier, which also carries the risk of projects getting rugged. This is definitely not a rug project. Definitely take a look at them. Moving on to a little more degen meme tokens. The next one is actually degen. Now, degen started off as a meme coin. They actually took this idea, made it into its own layer 3 blockchain, and they used the degen meme coin as their gas token, which actually gives somewhat of utility behind the meme coin. I did a full breakdown on how to buy this, as well as the next 2 tokens I'm going to talk about, which are pure lottery plays. Definitely should put some skin in the game. Only if you are looking for degenerate gains and you want to buy a McLaren with $5,000 that you put into a meme coin, you are going to buy these next 2 meme coins. Now, once you've purchased the degen token, you can actually purchase more meme coins with that meme coin because it's the gas fee on the degen blockchain. I know that's a lot. Just act like you understand. So once you have your degen token, you can, like I said, purchase other meme coins that are on the degen layer 3 blockchain. Now, Brett and Roost were both on Base, and Dog with Hat is on Solana, just for reference. So this is the next token. It's called Degen Pepe. It is the first meme coin on the degen blockchain. Its market cap is 4.6 million. Super early. Could absolutely rip. This alone could make you a multimillionaire off of a few $1,000s. Definitely has crazy potential. Super degenerate. If you want to take it one step further and be a dirty degen, I mean, you're going to have to take a shower after doing this. Then you are actually going to use your degen Pepe that you just purchased, and you are going to mint something called leveraged DayPay, which is leveraged degen Pepe. Now, this is actually insanely early. This is an insane gamble. You could make absolutely stupid, dumb, probably would go off the deep end because you made so much money off this. Or you could lose all your money. That's literally the stakes. Let's view the block explorer. As you can see, there's only 1,200 holders. I made a full tutorial on how to get this, degen, DayPay, all of these tokens. And actually, when I posted that video, I believe it only had 300 holders. So if you did that, fantastic. Keep holding. We got a lot more to go, but that's already substantial growth in holder count. So I really can't wait to see where this goes during the bull run. So if you have some money to throw into it and you want the potential to be a millionaire, consider this. I will link the video to how to do this in the description. Check it out. So that actually wraps up today's video. Definitely take a look into all of these narratives I listed. Actually do some research. Find a narrative you like. Find the tech you like. Pick a few high conviction plays. We got a long road ahead of us. The Bitcoin halving is just 8 days away. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to be making content through the entire bull run. Subscribe to stay up to date. Please like the video. Check out all my tutorials. They're super easy. Let's make some money this cycle and promise me to stay degen.